Finally. 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 Finally, 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 finally! Hey there, race fans. It's Race Day Top 5 with me, Frank 5. The round of 8 is officially in the books. The championship 4 is next week. The final 4 are set. And at long last, NASCAR's most popular driver is going to compete for the title. Let's talk Martinsville. Number 1, Chase Elliott. Finally! 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 Yes! 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 Finally! 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 Chase Elliott won the Xfinity 500 Martinsville Speedway, punching his ticket to the championship 4. Let's go! Yes! Oh, I am so pumped. Finally! Okay, let's get serious here. Chase Elliott finally made it to the championship 4, winning at Martinsville Speedway, and what was a dominating performance by the 9 team today. Absolutely unbelievable all day long. Chase Elliott came into this race needing to win to get in, 25 points below. But some people probably thinking, 25 points. If other guys have bad days, Chase Elliott can actually point his way in. Well, Chase Elliott came in with a must-win mentality, and he sounded very confident in his interview in the pre-race show, and he drove his way to the front. He had perhaps the best car today. He led over 200-plus laps. He literally had everything going right for him today. Towards the end of the race, though, it looked like he was probably going to shoot himself in the foot, or his pit crew was going to shoot themselves in the foot, because on the third-to-last pit stop of the race, Chase Elliott's jackman apparently jumped over the wall too soon, which is a no-no by NASCAR according to the rulebook. But the rulebook states that if the person corrects it and taps their foot back up on the wall, which the jackman did, before the car comes into its pit box, then it's no penalty whatsoever. So NASCAR saw that, and they deemed no penalty for the 9 team, which was really close. But luckily, they didn't penalize him. And on the second-to-last pit stop, Chase Elliott pit crew had a tough time getting the left rear tire on in time. It had a little bit slow stop, and Chase Elliott had to restart 10th, and they're thinking, he has the car, but does he have the time to get back to the front? Well, then another caution came out late in the race for William Byron, I believe it was, and Chase Elliott was able to come in. They had a nice clean pit stop at the very end, and he had a really good restart on the final restart of the race. He was able to pass by Martin Truex Jr. with about 40-plus laps to go. He drove away and never looked back. Literally, the whole time, I was wondering, was there going to be a caution? Because usually sometimes with Chase Elliott leading these things happen if a caution comes out and he has to go through another late race restart. But Chase Elliott captured the Xfinity 500 and his ticket to the championship 4, winning it over Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, who had already punched his ticket, Brad Keselowski, who I'll talk about, he punched his ticket, and Kurt Busch. And I just want to say, it's about time that Chase Elliott made it, because the last 3 years he's been in the round of 8, and it's been so close, but no cigar to advancing. I mean, think about 3 years ago, 2017, he's leading this race, which was not an elimination race at the time. He was leading under the lights of Martinsville. He was going to win. Denny Hamlin also behind him in a must-win. Dumps Elliott, sending him into the wall, and I was pissed. The fan base were upset at Denny Hamlin. And Chase Elliott went to Phoenix, the elimination race, in a must-win, and it looked like he was going to do it until Matt Kenseth passed him with 10 to go, ultimately knocking Chase Elliott out of it. In 2018, he had another good shot at Phoenix, had a really good car, but was caught up in an accident late in the race along with Kurt Busch, taking both of them out of contention. And last year in the round of 8, he had no luck at all. He had horrible finishes at Martinsville, at Texas, and at Phoenix. But this year, after last week, with a pit stop under green that took him out of contention, he was never able to get his lap back and finishing 20th. Chase Elliott wins Martinsville and is going to the championship 4, baby. Let's go! I'm so happy. I really am. And no matter what happens next weekend, it's been a great year, but I love to win this championship, and we've got a good shot because Chase is really good at Phoenix Raceway. Number 2, Kevin Harvick, the best driver all year long. 9 wins. He's the championship favorite. Kevin Harvick got eliminated. I mean, I'm at a loss for words. As happy as I am that Chase got in, I really feel bad that Kevin Harvick got eliminated from the championship 4. I mean, last weekend, you think about what happened early on in the race. He hits the wall early in the race before the big miss came, delaying it until Wednesday. He was able to get his lap back, but he struggled late in the race and didn't have a good performance. And he came in today 42 points above the cut line, thinking that's safe. Even if somebody else were to win, he would still be safe. Well, Kevin Harvick struggled today, and he's admitted that Martinsville, last couple races for him and crew chief Ronnie Childers, has been their Achilles heel, and it showed today. Then again, they stage points at either stage, and in the middle of in the beginning of the second stage, he had to pit under green because he felt a vibration or he had a cut tire after contact with Matt Kenseth. That put him 2 laps down. He was able to get both of those laps back at the very end. It looked like he was finally making progress through the field, but he was still below. And he was in a tough points battle at the very end between Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin, which I'll get into that a little bit later. But Harvick at the very end of the race, at the last lap, going after Kyle Busch for a spot that he needs to get the tiebreaker over Denny Hamlin to point his way in. Harvick carries him deep, and off of turn 4, he gets Kyle turned around. He thinks he's got it. Harvick spins around 2 and into the wall, and he has been eliminated. And I feel so bad for this guy because he's arguably been the best car this year, and I thought if he had made it, he was probably going to win the championship for, especially considering he's literally the king of the Desert Phoenix. And I'm a little bit upset with all these people on the social media saying, oh, Kevin Harvick, oh, this playoff system is rigged, this playoff system is sucky. Chase Elliott doesn't deserve to go by winning and knocking out Kevin Harvick, who's had the best car and the most wins all season long. Well, this is what the playoffs are all about, people. It builds drama and it builds a lot of chaos and stuff. And quite frankly, the 4 team, I mean, looking back, they don't deserve to go because of the finish they had last weekend, the finish they had today. Plus, they didn't get Joey Logano at the end of Kansas. If Harvick had won that race, then we wouldn't even be talking about Kevin Harvick in this position. But they didn't perform well at Texas, and they didn't do a good job today. So it's the way it is, and sad to say it, I feel bad that Harvick's eliminated, but he had a very, very good season. And he'll be back next year, and I think hungrier than ever. Number 3, Martin Truex Jr. also in a must-win situation today. He was probably the second best car today to Chase Elliott. Early on in the first stage, Truex was clearly the best car. Then towards the end, Chase Elliott got him. But him and Elliott were going back and forth at the very end. And late in the race, in that last restart, Truex and Elliott passed Corey LaJoie, who stayed out on older tires. And both were able to get by. And it looked like it was going to be a frantic battle between these guys at the very end. Well, believe it or not, when Chase Elliott got by Martin Truex Jr., Truex reported into his rookie crew chief, James Small, who came back from being ejected last weekend for the pre-race spoiler infraction. He came on the radio and told his crew, I've got a right front wheel that may be loose. And sadly, he had to pit late, and that took Martin Truex Jr. out of it. I feel bad for Truex. I like Truex a lot. I mean, yeah, he and Chase had that little incident at the beginning of Darlington in the first race of the playoffs, but I mean, I'm way past that. I really feel bad for Martin Truex Jr. I really do, because he is one of my favorite drivers, and Truex is one of the most likable guys. I know some people, complain about he wins too much. Well, you think about the road this guy's been on. He'll be back again next year. I mean, this was a new year for him with a brand new crew chief. They did make it to the round of 8. They want to race this year. They can go win next weekend and build momentum for next year, spoil the championship. So we shall see. But Truex has had a very solid year, and he should be perfect. Number 4, the championship battle at the very end. The battle between Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin. As I mentioned, it was really intense. While I was a little bit focused on Chase Elliott, I was really focused on this championship battle at the end, because if Elliott won the race, these 3 drivers, probably the 3 best cars this year, Harvick and Hamlin and Keselowski, were all tied together in points because they were all deep in the pack. They were all fighting for a piece of real estate. Keselowski had a speeding penalty late in the race on a pit stop, but he was able to fight his way back to a 4th place finish, as I mentioned. He was flying through the field, and Denny Hamlin was struggling, falling back, and you're thinking that he could fall out because Harvick has more playoff points than Denny Hamlin, and if it came to a tiebreaker, the first race of the round, the best finish of that first race in this round got the tiebreaker, and it would have been Kevin Harvick. Well, Hamlin was pressured late by his teammate Eric Jones, but I think Joe probably told him, don't pass Denny because of the point situation. But Cole Custer, Kevin Harvick's teammate, was catching up as well to help Harvick. And Harvick had Clint Bowyer a couple cars ahead. And I understand why Bowyer didn't just fall back and help Kevin Harvick. I mean, no cheating allowed, obviously, but you kind of probably thought, oh, Bowyer or even Almirola, can't you let Harvick try to catch up and pass you for that spot that maybe needed to get to the championship 4? It was frantic. It was really exciting. I was on the edge of my seat, standing up, seeing the whole points battle for those last 2 spots with Elliott leading at the very end. It was crazy, and that's what the playoffs are all about. Building up drama, building up a lot of excitement. That's what these playoffs are all about, and that's going to carry over into the Final 4. Championship 4 race next weekend. It's just going to be absolutely frantic, and I think the points battle between those 3 best drivers today was very exciting at the very end of the race. And number 5, as I mentioned, Harvick is out, Martin Truex Jr. is out, and the other 2 drivers that were eliminated were Alex Bowman and Kurt Busch. Actually, Kurt Busch, I'd say all the playoff drivers today, with the exception of Kevin Harvick for the most part, a lot of them were competitive and battling for the lead a lot today. Kurt Busch at times had a good race car. He took a little different strategy on pit stops and was able to race with his little brother Kyle up there, who was of course, won last weekend, breaking the winless streak. You had Alex Bowman up there, obviously, and Kurt Busch was basically the one in the must-win situation. Alex Bowman kind of must-win, maybe could points win, but not so much like what Chase Elliott did today. Bowman, he had a really good race car. I like the Planters peanut paint scheme. That was a really nice paint scheme. He got eliminated, and it would have been nice if maybe he won it. He would have been able to go compete for the championship at his home track. He's from Arizona. He would have been nice to go home and compete for a championship, but still, it's been a very, very good season for Alex Bowman. Of course, next year taking over the 48 car, replacing Jimmy Johnson, who, by the way, has got one more race left to go, as well as Clint Bowyer and most likely Matt Kenseth. And as for Kurt Busch, he's had a very good season as well. I mean, he was able to make it to the round of 8 courtesy of the win at Las Vegas. And I had said, if Kurt Busch had made the championship 4, I wouldn't have been shocked because he's that good and that consistent. And listen, Kurt Busch can hang his head high because he's had a very good season. And he'll be back too next year. He'll have a good shot at championship and what most likely next year could be his final season with what's going on. We don't know, but Kurt Busch still had a very solid season overall. And all these guys that got eliminated, hang their heads high. They had a good year overall, and they'll be back stronger next year. So, with that being said, one more race to go. And for the first time since 2001, a track not named Homestead will decide the championship. We're off to the desert in Phoenix, Arizona, Phoenix Raceway, with we play start-finish line on the dog leg. Anything is possible in this race, and we cannot wait. We've got 2 former champs, a man that's long due for a championship, and a first-time appearance for NASCAR's most popular driver in the Championship 4, battling it out for the title next weekend. It's going to be a blast. 2012 champ Brad Keselowski, 2018 champ Joey Logano, bridesmaid Denny Hamlin, NASCAR's most popular driver Chase Elliott will be duking it out under the sun next weekend for the Bill France Cup to be NASCAR's champion of 2020 and what has been a wild 2020 with all that's gone on. I cannot wait to see what happens next weekend. Who will be the champion? Will Brad Keselowski get a second title? Will Joey Logano get a second title? Will Denny Hamlin at long last finally get that first championship that he's been so close? He's been a bridesmaid like 4 or 5 times. Or will the newcomer in Chase Elliott, NASCAR's most popular driver, pull through and get his first Cup championship? We shall see. Tune in next Sunday on NBC, 3 p.m. to crown a champ. I cannot wait. It's going to be a ball. Before I leave, I would like to quickly mention, I hope everybody had a happy Halloween. And this is not NASCAR related, but I do like to say this is in the world in general. Rest in peace to, by far, in my opinion, the best James Bond that we ever had, Sean Connery, who was the first 007, those James Bond movies that I love so much. He passed away yesterday on Halloween at the age of 90. He lived a great life. I saw him in all his movies as James Bond and played Indiana Jones' father in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. A great actor and a great influence on many people who wanted to get into the acting business. Rest in peace, 007. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys. Tune in next week. I will give you on Saturday the recap of the Truck and Xfinity Series champions and recap who performed well and who ended up with the championships for those series. And I'll obviously be here with you next Sunday to give you the recap of the last race of 2020, crowning a Cup champion. So in the meantime, subscribe, like, congrats to Chase Elliott, finally made the Championship 4, and congrats to all our other competitors, and Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, and Denny Hamlin, making it to the Championship 4. Those are your 4 men. They'll be competing for the title next Sunday. I can't wait. Until then, have a great week. Championship 4 week next weekend, baby. Let's go!